I, 28 male, and my wife, 26 female, married 3 years ago and have been together for 6 years when we met. I was already in my third year of college for a special branch of a very productive industry, something like the US Army. You go to a different country for a few months to do some really dangerous jobs, get paid a lot, come back a few months, and so on. In the beginning, I was going for 68 or even 10 months away in order to promote as fast as possible. Now I win around 4 years of medium salary in my country. In just 3 months is a hard job, but I love it. My wife was very supportive, and I always knew that is very hard for her to have this kind of lifestyle. I always tried to spoil her and compensate for my time spent away from her with tons of gifts and trips to exotic places. 2 years ago, when I came home after an extended contract, I had to stay almost 2 more months because all flights and borders got shut down during COVID, but got 20% extra salary during this time. She told me she couldn't take it anymore. She goes crazy alone at home, and she has nothing to do. She lost her job during COVID and did not want to work again. After that, which I fully supported her because I wanted her to be happy, and money was not a problem. I was petrified, and at first I believed she wanted to break up. Then she continued with, "I love you so much and I want you to give me a baby so I can take care of him and have a little bit of you when you are gone on contracts." After 5 months of hard work with no women in a 100-kilometer range, making a baby was done very fast and multiple times just to be sure if you know what I am talking about. I was nervous for the first month because we always felt we may not be able to make a baby for the first 4 years. We did not use any kind of protection except pull out, and she never got pregnant. But after a few weeks, she wakes me up with a long kiss and a smile on her face, then shows me the test result. I was the happiest man alive. Everything changed. I was a man now. I was a father. I was on top of the world. I was going with her to every doctor's appointment, and during the contract I was asking for echo sounds instead of nudes. The birth had no complications and everything went amazing. 1 month later, I went on another contract to make some money that should cover every need for our little baby. Halfway through this contract, I received a text from my wife that shattered my. The text was short and simple, and I will never forget those 4 words that sent me into the deepest depression I had ever had. I wanted divorce. I did not understand. I tried to call her to find out what happened, and nothing. After a few days of talking back and forth, she said I want a divorce so I can marry the love of my life. I was already preparing my suitcase because I made a request to my company to send me back as an emergency when I got home. She and the baby was gone. 2 weeks later, I was in court to settle the divorce. During this, I found out that she had a lover for well over 4 years, and she plans to marry him as soon as the divorce is done. Now, the laws in my country are different, and I knew that my first priority should be a really good lawyer. My wife had a really shitty one. She decided to speak by herself without the help of the lawyer. Most of the time, her whole idea was I am a woman and he is never home well. Even even if the laws usually favor women in my country, cheating is considered to be a break of contract, and she wanted to take full custody of our children in order for me to pay child. I was not letting this happen. I spoke with my lawyer and an accountant, and it seems that I only had to pay child support from my base salary. My danger bonus is not included in child support because it is for my life risk and mine alone, and because the company pays fewer taxes on the danger bonuses. I have a lot of them. And my base salary is around 10% of my income. When she found out that she would take almost nothing from child support, and I gave her the option of taking full custody of the child with a no contact rule, and I will never ask her for child support. She agreed in a second. Basically, she agreed to get out of our lives. We even changed the birth certificate of the child to me, the father, and a blank space for the mother. She gave up any kind of claim on the baby during the trial. Her lover was asked to come as a witness, and the idiot agreed. He is an AliExpress version of Andrew Tate, an alpha man who treats women like, and this seems to turn her on, and has a pretty good income. He has a small company, less than half my salary, but he is always home, and it still is a lot for our country. Now, during the trial, he said they cheated behind my back for 3 years, and that the baby is his, and she tricked me into making her a baby in order not to find out about her cheating, he said. All this just to make me feel horrible, I guess, because this is actually kind of illegal, something like alienating the love and other law terms. My lawyer explained to me, he basically said, I knew they were married, but I decided to ruin the marriage now at this point. The child situation was already done and an agreement was signed. The judge asked my wife if it was true, and she said yes, and ordered a DNA test just to confirm after the DNA test that confirmed what they said. The judge said she would let me cancel the agreement and settle the situation again with my wife. Now that the child is not biologically mine, I said, no, Your Honor, this child is mine and I want to keep him. The judge was stunned for a minute, but then she said, well, if the agreement is a valid contract, and since you don't want to void it, then Mr. L, you are a father, and no one can take that child away from you in my country. Doesn't matter who is the biological ICAL parent, it matters who is the parent in the documents. And since he knew he was the father since the beginning and did not come to the hospital to declare it, he automatically cancelled all. His paternal claim sounds stupid, but it makes sense in order to protect the idea of a family. And if a man recognizes a fatherless child at the hospital, he should not fear that the biological father will come back in order to protect the value of family and encourage people to do a good thing and start a family and things like that. Now, the divorce was over. I got my baby, and my wife was out of my life. The first thing I did was hire 3 babysitters to work 8 hours a day. So my child has 24 hours someone to stay with him, and I have time to prepare my revenge. I started 2 separate companies with the help of an online assistant from India. You can hire them kind of cheap, and they do whatever you need online. This guy made 2 super professional companies. One in industrial credits giving money to businesses for a lower rate than banks. And the second one was a copycat of my ex-company, but this one was in the same city as his. Both were made just for one client, my ex-wife lover. My assistant started sending tons of ads to my credit company to him, emails, targeted Google and Facebook ads, etc. I was sure that he knows that if he needs money, this is the place he can take a lot with low rates next. I did a lot of advertising for the second company, but the company had only the machines, and they rented space, and only one worker, the cleaning lady. Every time someone calls for the company services, they immediately decline, because we are over. My ex-lover, let's call him D, was one of them multiple times actually, and he goes mad every time he gets rejected because he sees how big the competition is now. It was the time to give him the bait. Because my company had some problems in the main country, I didn't even know in which country this company was registered. They changed the management and wanted to make a fast profit, so the regional manager wanted to sell some of the equipment. When he heard this, he started calling and sending emails to buy them out. The response was something like this: we are an international company, we can sell the brand, but we can sell some equipment. It was illegal for me to sell the company without showing him the accountant data, which was empty, but equipment I could sell just with a simple contract. He wanted the competition out of his city. He did not need the equipment, so the manager gives him a deal. If you buy our equipment for, let's say, 3 times the price, we can say in the contract that we will not do business again in this city. In just 2 hours, I received calls and emails from my first company for a credit for that equipment and blah blah. I knew he was out of money because he spent a lot on his future wedding. With my ex-wife, we sent him a contract based on our evaluation. The equipment is not worth that money, so he will need to give us a guarantee, his company, and he is not allowed to sell any equipment or parts of his company until he pays everything back, and if he is behind in payment for 6 months straight, I get all of it also. In the contract, I stated that the credit company would buy that equipment directly. Basically, I just give myself my money, and I made sure every single word of the contract is legal and is a deal good enough for him to take it later. That same day sent me the signed contract. Now, normally he should be able to pay for everything, even if the clients he hoped he would get from this company leaving are not existent. He still should be able to pay if he gives me around 80% of his company income for the next 5 years. Fast forward a bit. On the day of the wedding, I went to give them an envelope. In my country, you give money in envelopes as a wedding gift. He started to laugh at me and told me to get out because I am not invited and he doesn't need my money. I smiled. and I told him to open it. He looked inside, and he was expecting to come to court next week. He laughed and asked, "What is this?" And I told him, "See you in court. Enjoy your wedding night." The next week he came, and I was suing him for child support, as I said in my country. If you are aware that you have a child and refuse to go to the hospital to recognize him, you are no longer the father, but you are still forced to pay child support, and is actually an increased rate because you tried to dodge responsibility like running from a car accident scene. He did not want to pay. So he tried to say that he wanted the child, or custody, that he is the biological in blood, and blah blah. This made me happy because I wanted to drag the trial as much as possible to drain him of all his money, but I couldn't, not after the judge saw all his declarations during the divorce trial. She ended the trial really fast and forced him to pay me 40% of his and his company income since the child was born until he finished college or I got married. And guess who did not manage to pay? And guess who is the new owner of his company now? I don't work anymore. I just run his company and spend almost all my time with my child. A lot of people ask me about the child and the fact that I am not a biological father. I answered some comments, but I want to put this answer here so people will stop asking. I do not plan to hide my child, that I am not the biological father. As I said in a previous comment, we will talk about this when the time comes in high school, maybe, or around that age. Until then, I will try to be the best friend and paternal figure I can be, and if my child decides to go to the buffer, then I will not have any objection to Steve into bonding. I need this child more than you think after all that happened. I don't want a relationship anymore, and I am very lonely and being financially free. I have no purpose in life anymore. And about the statistics. Yes, statistics do not lie, and I did punish paternity fraud, but I punished the idiot who did it, not the innocent child. I harass him every month if he is one day late on child support, and I have a lawyer on payday just to mess with him and scare him with another court call. I do not give an F about every man, and blah blah. I take care of myself and my child, and other people are not my business. If you are so insecure that you think I must punish my child so women will be scared to cheat on you, then maybe you are the problem.